Welcome to the Explainer. So today, we're going to definitively untangle two of the absolute most commonly confused concepts in the entire realm of application security. Honestly, it happens to the best of us, right? Even senior architects with, decades of experience will occasionally slip up and use AuthN and AuthZ interchangeably in a sprint planning meeting. But here's the thing, that simple slip of the tongue, it can actually mask a fundamental misunderstanding. Mixing up these two totally distinct concepts can literally lead to disastrous vulnerabilities in your cloud architecture. Application security requires just relentless attention because it's fundamentally all about protecting software from ever-evolving threats. And to do that effectively, we absolutely have to master authentication and authorization, or as we usually call them, AuthN and AuthZ.
Let's just strip away all the heavy technical jargon for a second. At the end of the day, application security really just boils down to answering two super fundamental questions. Number one, are you really who you say you are? In the digital world, identity is notoriously fluid. Anyone can type in a username they bought off the dark web, right? So the absolutely critical challenge for any app is figuring out how the system actually verifies that the real-life human typing on the keyboard is the legitimate authorized owner of that account.
And the moment we definitively figure that out, we immediately hit the rapid follow-up question number two. What are you allowed to access or do? Look, just because you made it through the front door absolutely does not mean you get the keys to the vault. This rhythm, proving identity, and then rigorously checking permissions, is the perfect setup for the duality of today's topic. If an attacker breaches the front door, it's proper internal permissions that stop them from moving laterally through your network. Getting both of these right is absolutely essential to protecting user data and maintaining enterprise trust.
To get us there, here's our mental map for this explainer. 1. Demystifying AuthN and AuthZ. 2. The role of identity providers. 3. Leveling up cloud authentication. 4. Mastering access control models. And 5. A real-world cloud security scenario.
Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1. Demystifying AuthN and AuthZ.
Think of AuthN, Authentication, as the bouncer at the front door of an exclusive high-end club. That bouncer's only job is to rigorously check your ID. They might look at a password, demand a one-time passcode from your phone, or maybe even scan your biometric data just to ensure you are exactly who you claim to be. Now, Authorization, AuthZ, operates completely differently. You made it safely past the bouncer, awesome. But now you want to get into the VIP lounge. The lounge manager, that's AuthZ. They don't care about your driver's license at this point. They just want to look at your wristband to see exactly what tier of access you actually paid for. Are you allowed to be in this room? Can you open this file? Can you delete this database? When both the bouncer and the lounge manager are strict, highly coordinated, and supported by modern encryption, well then we can be highly confident that our applications are genuinely secure.
Moving right along to Section 2, the role of identity providers.
So, when we're building and scaling cloud applications, we almost never build that bouncer from scratch anymore. Instead, we outsource that job to highly specialized, massive-scale services known as identity providers, or IDPs. There's a famous adage in cybersecurity, don't roll your own crypto and don't roll your own auth. Seriously, developing custom login systems is just an endless pit of complex hashing algorithms, database security compliance, and GDPR liabilities. The overhead costs and security risks are just staggering. Instead, modern development teams rely on these trusted IDPs to handle the heavy lifting. They provide a centralized, rigorously tested system that securely verifies a user is exactly who they claim to be.
You've undoubtedly interacted with a bunch of these already. Some of the industry titans include Google, Azure Entra ID, Okta, and various complex enterprise directories. And just to give you an idea of the sheer scale we're talking about here, a platform like Azure Entra ID doesn't just process a few logins. It processes tens of billions of authentications every single day. Relying on this kind of massive, enterprise-grade infrastructure means you're literally leveraging billions of dollars in security research that your own internal team simply wouldn't have the bandwidth to replicate.
One of the most powerful functional benefits of integrating an IDP is single sign-on, or SSO. Log in securely once, and boom, you instantly unlock access to multiple interconnected apps. Often we kind of just think of SSO as a nice convenience feature, saving us 3 seconds of typing. But from an engineering standpoint, this is a massive security upgrade. The average enterprise employee now juggles over 100 different work-related passwords. That level of password fatigue historically led to absolute nightmares, like people reusing the same weak password everywhere or literally writing them on sticky notes hidden under their keyboards. SSO eliminates that human vulnerability by centralizing the entire security perimeter.
All right, Section 3, Leveling Up Cloud Authentication. When we move past the traditional, easily compromised password, we enter the realm of advanced gatekeeping. Multi-factor authentication, or MFA, and biometrics are no longer just optional add-ons. They are absolute industry standards. Integrating MFA with your identity provider is a total game changer. In fact, research consistently shows that enabling basic MFA blocks upwards of 99.9% of automated account compromise attacks. I mean, it is mathematically one of the single most effective ways to stop unauthorized access dead in its tracks. And as the industry pushes toward passwordless environments using FIDO2 keys and biometrics, the centralized identity provider handles all of that complex verification logic for us, letting the right people into the app safely and entirely frictionlessly.
This brings us to Section 4, Mastering Access Control Models.
Now, what's really interesting about these models is how we hand out those specific wristbands once we're safely inside the building. We're going to escalate in complexity through 3 distinct fine-grained access control models. We start with RBAC, or Role-Based Access Control. This one's pretty straightforward. Permissions are assigned simply based on a person's job title. If you're tagged as HR, you get HR access. Simple, right? But modern enterprises need way more nuance, which brings us to ABAC, Attribute-Based Access Control. This goes deeper, utilizing dynamic attributes. It asks, what department are you in? What is your physical geographic location? Is your laptop a verified company asset? Finally, we reach the absolute most complex tier, PBAC, Policy-Based Access Control. This uses highly detailed conditions to evaluate access in real time. Imagine a PBAC policy that says, yes, you are the CFO, but you're currently trying to download the Q3 earnings database from an unmanaged tablet on a public airport Wi-Fi network at 3 a.m. on a Sunday. The policy will dynamically deny access despite your high-ranking role. For any regulated cloud application, mastering these fine-grained models is absolutely non-negotiable.
And this brilliantly illustrates Section 5, Real-World Cloud Security Scenario.
Let's ground all this theory into an everyday engineering reality, okay? Imagine we're launching a SaaS collaboration platform that handles highly sensitive financial documents. Step 1. We integrate a trusted identity provider to enable single sign-on. Users log in seamlessly using their existing corporate credentials, and we offload all that authentication risk to the IDP. Step 2. We tackle authorization by implementing role-based access control. Our application logic ensures admin users receive a sweeping wristband allowing them to manage users and configure analytics, while standard external contractors get a highly restricted wristband, only allowing them to view specific project folders. And then we hit Step 3, which honestly is where many organizations critically fail: routinely auditing and updating access policies. You have to actively combat what we call privilege creep. When an employee transfers from accounting to marketing, their old permissions need to be revoked. If you skip this auditing step, users accumulate massive, unchecked ghost access over time, creating just a devastating internal security vulnerability.
Which brings us to a really fantastic insight from application security expert Yusuf DM. He notes, we always follow the principle of least privilege, giving users only the access they truly need. This right here is the undisputed golden rule of cloud security. By mercilessly restricting permissions to only what is mathematically necessary for a user to perform their specific job, you drastically shrink your attack surface. It's all about blast radius containment, right? If an account is ever compromised via phishing or malware, the potential damage to your enterprise is tightly quarantined because that user's access was tightly quarantined from the very start.
So, I want to leave you with a bit of a mic drop moment. Think about it. Do your cloud applications grant more access than your users actually need? I strongly challenge you to take what you've learned in this explainer straight back to your own development team. Audit your application's access policies this week. Check your front door and rigorously check your wristbands. Look for that privilege creep. You might be very surprised and maybe even a little terrified by what you find. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep your cloud secure.